This is episode 79 of the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory podcast. I am your host, SPNanon. This is my co-host, Nord, and our guest, Karbol. I've actually played the original real Poker Night at the Inventory on Steam. You can't purchase it anymore. Nord, have you played it?
I played the hell out of the second one over and over again until I was finally old enough to play poker. I was terrible at that game.
Second one's not as good. It doesn't have any TF2.
Yeah, it has TF2 items though.
True.
And it has GLaDOS.
That doesn't count. There have been attempts to make GLaDOS for Strip Poker Night at the Inventory. Humanized or otherwise. They never really got off the ground. Would you fuck GLaDOS?
In a heartbeat.
I'm sure she could open up a little aperture. And it totally wouldn't be an incinerator. You think she has the sex orb? Or the sex core?
She has a horny core.
The lust core.
Well, you have to wonder exactly what that would entail, given all the other cores we've seen are corrupted in some way.
Well, speaking of corruption and crazy bitches, Yumeko Jabami has made it to the main roster. We have a number of main roster additions to talk about, and one very pleasant surprise for a testing roster addition. But let's go over the main roster ones. Again, that's Yumeko, who we also discussed in episode 73 the first time. The compulsive gambler. She's made it to the main roster. I already pretty much gave my thoughts on her last time. She has changed quite a bit, but I'll let Karbol and Nord speak a little bit more. Karbol, go ahead.
I had a little gamble with Cool Cat. He had to watch 2 seasons of She-Ra, and I had to watch 2 seasons of Kakegurui. I think that's pronounced. So I got a good grasp of Yumeko. And I think she's very well represented in SPNatI. Most people say she's creepy, she's weird, her face is all messed up, her model is creepy and inhumane, and yeah, that's perfectly on character with her on the show, actually. She's a creepy character. She can make you horny and afraid and caroused at the same time, all in the span of 5 seconds. And it works. That's just how the show is. So I think she's really well done. She has good target. It's clear that Cool Cat got her personality down, that he really understood how the character works, how her personality works, and how her core view of the world works. And I think he got a little corrupted to the whole Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker, the whole Heath Ledger playing Joker. Well, something like that happened with Cool Cat, who he's a lot more of an anarchist and believer in randomness. But yeah, Yumeko is that strong of a character. She corrupted her writer. But she's very good.
How long until we get SPNatI's first method actor?
Oh, God.
Didn't we get one of those already? No, with Solitaire?
Solitaire's going to cut you out for that.
Okay. Model good, dialogue good, targets really good. The forfeit, which a lot of people said they were really surprised and felt it was really out of character and surprising. It is, and it fits her. That's exactly how she is in the show. So yeah, it was also very well done. Yeah, everything about this character screams love for the franchise, and I think Kukan really did a good job. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
You can see here, last time she was on the podcast was many months ago, and you can see now just how far the model has come with the substantial incremental updates Cool Cat has been doing to her. And you can really see how the model's evolved over time and gone from I would say standard quality to outstanding quality.
Mm-hmm.
Or if people say that if a character that you're writing a certain way is said to be embody those traits that you were shooting for, but they say it in a very negative way, I think that's just as reassuring and uplifting as someone praising you directly for that. It's like the same when someone left a feedback report saying that Nagatoro was too like mean and bullied too much, and you almost want to think it was sarcasm, but who can tell? I've heard Cool Cat describe Kakegurui. Is that how you say it? The
Yeah.
show she's from is one of the most horny shows that doesn't show you anything except these characters going completely insane over ridiculous gambles that they make. And I feel like her personality translates perfectly.
This feels like anime reality TV or something, where it's like there's really nobody to root for. They're just like all the horrible people that are full of themselves, and you just like want to watch the carnage.
Yeah.
That's the impression I get.
That's kind of how it is. Yeah, it's terrible people on a terrible system, and then this terrible girl comes along and says, "Hey, I just want to play games," and her own gambling addiction gets the whole system teared down, and everyone. She basically forces everyone else to lose to themselves and their own bad traits, and she abuses that. Like Colombo. I don't know if that's a good comparison, like Colombo. But yeah, she's good. Yeah.
About her whole thing with cat ears. She puts a pair of cat ears on herself, and she even gets to put them on Sakura. And it was a massive effort to update Sakura to add that to her forfeit stages. And it's funny, cute, and sexy.
Yumeko does a lot of things very well. None of them are for me, but I will at least acknowledge that she does a good job with them.
Mm-hmm.
My main complaint last time was with her art. It felt very amateurish, but I also said that Cool Cat, even back then, was putting in a good effort to fix it. And I think for the most part he has. Her body especially just looks, just adding those little details just automatically makes her look a lot fuller and better. The boobs especially, like the shading's much better. Her face still seems a little bit weird to me, but it's also weird in the show. She almost reminds me of one of those like extremely over detailed close ups from like SpongeBob. All the extra lines on her face and things. All the weird details.
I mean, looking at this selection of GIFs available via Discord, that just seems to be how it is.
Yeah. Maybe her jaw is a little bit too big. And I personally feel like her eyes, like her irises, are a little bit too big on some poses in a way that just kind of doesn't work. But it's a minor complaint now. She looks perfectly fine, and dare I say it, even good. I like the pattern on her skirt and everything. I assume that's a pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
But she does feel much improved. Her writing was never really the problem. You know, she goes hard on the things she likes: house pets and pet play and gambling. I mean, for me, that's not terribly engaging. I don't really like any of those things, and it feels. I mean, she's like a shtick character. You know, she's kind of one dimensional. She has the one thing going on, and she focuses on it very hard, and she does it well. It's just not what I personally go for. I like characters that don't always constantly talk about one thing, or sort of vary up their state of mind more than she does. But she does what she needs to do for the people that like that.
Mm-hmm.
I also just noticed that she has like a thumb ring, and that's like in all of her poses. And that was probably a pain to pose with. But I guess it's important to her. The only other thing I'll mention is some of her lines were a bit repetitive. You want to add a lot, especially for like the pet play stuff. If you're going to lean in on that, you shouldn't be repeating lines.
Mm-hmm. That sort of thing, the advice is just, if you're going to do this kink, don't hold back. Really, like, write as much as you can and want to.
There's also this pose, which I guess she's technically masturbating through her clothes. Is the implication? It doesn't quite work.
Mm.
And wait, that was sort of like a cardinal sin of early SPNatI. Maybe don't do that until you can at least see what she's touching. Or I guess you could add the detail to the skirt to show it like
Yeah,
wrapping up against her fingers or whatever.
Yeah, like adding folds to the skirt, although, God, that would be hell if it uses a pipeline. And
Yeah.
like maybe shortening her other forearm a bit to like really sell touching the same side.
Yeah. So I'm going to sound a bit like a Namask here for a second and say, what's here is good. It's just, it's not for me. It's not my wheelhouse. Ready to move on?
I do want to say one more thing,
Sure.
which is Cool Cat was really adamant on doing all of the model and posing and everything all by himself. I think the most direct outside help he ever got was either asking for feedback in the Kisuke channels, and I believe Turoi, formerly known as Richard, helped out with the pipelines for the skirt, which honestly works pretty well. Any sort of pattern is very hard to get right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that. Yeah, that's it.
Ending on a whimper.
No, it's just it. I guess it's just very admirable that he did all of this by himself. Is my point.
Yeah. I mean, you love to see people gain artistic experience.
I believe at one point I forgot that he had said he wants to do it all by himself, and I was like, "Oh, I can show you how to do this real quick. I'll boot up my own Kisuke." And I think his response was something like, "You're not touching this goddamn code." Which we have a laugh about now for like, I forgot he was doing it solo and he was under stress obviously because of how effort intensive this is.
Everyone gets a little snippy when they post models Kisuke because it just takes so long. Ready to move on?
Yep.
Oh, that was perfect timing. I forgot the Carbol left for a bit. Were you just stalling for time?
No, that was generally something I wanted to bring up.
Nord, please take us in to the next topic, one that you worked on. Maybe you've been working on a bit too much lately.
Aqua from Konosuba, God's blessing on this wonderful world. The third Aqua that I've helped make.
If you had a nickel...
If I had a nickel, I'd have a couple of dollars for every character I've made. Written by my mans, a very talented writer in his own right. Aqua is one of his most beloved waifus, and I think that shows with how much love and attention he's put into just every aspect of Aqua's writing. I'm her primary artist. I did the main model and most of the posing. Horsecat, I believe, is the one that drew the on all fours pose that you have just shared.
The one and only.
With help from Onboro, who did the animated version of that. And in general, I'll not hide this. I was a bit bad at taking feedback for a while with her. So eventually I just essentially declared, give me any flaws you have with her model for sponsorship. And then following that, when the art was the last thing left for her to be ready for main, I did a week-long process of taking feedback to get her model to where it currently is. I still have one of her older images to show how much she's changed. In general, the model itself was fine, but the hair has been updated, the face has been updated, the skirt has been hand-drawn as a Flash image attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And all of her poses have been reworked as well. I'd love to hear what you two have to say about her art and her writing.
Well, art-wise, I'm not an artist, so I thought she was good. Honestly, when she had the older art, I thought she was already great as she was. But hey, as I already told Nord on private, if it's not me who Aqua is supposed to satisfy, because I haven't watched Konosuba. It's the Konosuba enjoyers who he has to, how I say, satisfy. So if they were okay with Aqua's older model, then that was fine by me. But if some other people wanted a better model, I suppose that's what they wanted. Hey, that's exactly what happened. People started asking for more things for Aqua, and that's okay. I understand Nord's frustration, because every time he did something, I said, okay, it's finished, I'm already done. New things would pop up that would require him to undo his work and do it all over again. So it's kind of a Sisyphean task to work on Aqua's model, but it paid off. She looks great. And yeah, as for her writing, I already said it multiple times. Mimans is a great writer. He always manages to make characters funny, engaging. Aqua, I don't know if it's in character, but she feels really, really snappy, really quick to answer things said her way, really good to offer either funny insights or funny remarks, or I don't know, she's kind of a funny character, and coupled with her expressive posing, she ends up being a really good character that everyone can enjoy. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I really, as someone who has written monster and undead characters, I really enjoy her whole. She has a whole set of lines against undead characters where she goes. Yeah,
She has like, I'm pretty sure, like 100 lines to undead or other like monster type tags.
Yeah, as someone who has both undead characters and a character who also hates undead characters, this has been a blast to target, and I cannot wait for everyone to see the interactions I've been working on. But yeah, Aqua good. Yeah.
Aqua, good, indeed. You really grinded this out, Nord. You went through a lot of post feedback, and then you went through even another round of it after that when Hex was late to the party.
Yeah,
And I think you did even a little bit extra with some detail work just the other day. You just can't seem to leave this useless goddess alone.
on my man's request, I did add another pose for her to use Nature's Beauty with, the little water party trick she does that is completely useless in practical situations. Just a little bit of upskirt, you know, as a treat. Her being silly.
You love it.
Will this get away? Will this get away on YouTube without censorship? Who knows?
Right, because she's no pan.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, I'm not a big Konosuba fan, so I don't know why I said big. I haven't seen it at all. So I thought the original looked fine, and then you came out with a new one. It's like, wow, this is way better in all the subtle ways. Her bust is a little bigger. It's got like better shadow. The hand drawn skirt looks great, nice and pleated and shaded and things. Nice, better like detail around her torso, and she's got like softer look, better details overall. Lots of little things, and I mean, you got your reward at least. The one magic user with the water powers in Mia. Maybe she underperformed. But Aqua is Aqua. And if you just search up anime waifu in the last couple years, Aqua and her ass shaking pose probably going to pop up. So yeah, she absolutely wrecked shop in the resort. She got all the pleb votes you could ask for.
We now have enough Konosuba characters for a full table on the main roster, but no darkness until Webley's ready to return.
One day.
One day.
I gave my thoughts on her last time. I don't think her writing has really changed. She's still not quite as like animated or crazy as you might expect, just as an outside observer, but my man's gave his reasoning for that. She's very focused on not losing / not being dumb in my test game, which is something that you would, I guess you would do with a goofy character like this. Sometimes it can get a little tired when that's all she talks about, because I don't like it when characters focus too much on the game. because the game and its outcome is mostly an inevitability,
Mm-hmm.
or three-quarters of them anyway.
She specifically tries to cheat by using magic, but it literally does nothing to help or hinder her.
Hmm.
Which tracks for how she is in canon.
She's good overall, though, and you did a great job. Even though you were clearly frustrated, you put your head down and you put out a good product like you always do.
I'm
You want a more tangible reward? Maybe that sweet Gasconia model, and I'll just dump my points on you. Just take all of them. Just vomit it like a mother bird.
I'm already putting up bounties to get rid of tens of thousands of SPNatI points. I am the 1%. You touched on a good point there, which is some feedback is like, she should have some of the more like extreme like emotions she has in the show, but the reality is there's just no situation that would really call for them. Like, she has 3 different crying poses already, and like she does this full on like face deformed, eyes scrunching up, about to burst into tears one, and that's about as extreme as we can really go without it being just out of character. And like bringing the game down with how cartoonish it would be.
Well, it's something you'd have to do with targets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Seems in a pretty good place to me now, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say, either of you?
No, I'm fine. I'm gonna work with my mans to get some targets going and use those crying poses, but other than that, we're good.
Here's something I want to ask you two about. I made her Nature's Beauty pose with one of her arms extended really far up, and my mans and I quickly realized, hey, the water can actually cover up the text box of whatever character is to her right. We thought that was hilarious and decided to keep it that way. What do you two think?
Whatever. We already talked about how characters could talk a little bit less.
I think it's a little bit intrusive. I think it really it doesn't enhance the player's experience with her unless she's fully aware of it and she's going like, "Hey, player, you don't need to read all this. You only need to focus on me." In that case, yeah, support it.
Just don't do it all the time.
Yeah. She doesn't use Nature's Beauty all that often anyway, unless she is trying to steal the attention deliberately.
Hear that, my mans? You listening? Don't do it all the time. Come find you.
But even then, she does have the much more appealing version of Nature's Beauty in this one. Excuse me. Yes, she has 4 butt poses. No, 5 now. 5?
Amateur.
4. She has 4. I'm pretty sure. I think. I can't remember.
Amateur. Okay, well, Karbol.
Yes,
you are here on the cast.
I am.
For a reason. The reason is that we like you.
Oh, thank you. I like you too.
But also, it's because we are covering both a testing return and a main roster edition in the time between episodes. A character that you did not start, but you certainly finished.
That's right.
Bowsette. Not even a real fucking character. Just a porn fan character. It's easy to forget that like Bowsette is like not even real. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. That was just like a fan art thing. She is essentially a Rule 34 character. Just being jizzed on by the masses. And that also accurately describes her early dev process.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first crowdsourced character where I think it was Viz just set up a little infrastructure where random people could just like add lines to Bowsette and they were all terrible. And I don't know what you did or how much you did to make her get her over the finish line, clean her up into something coherent. But you are the reason she finally made it. She was like out of commission and incomplete for years. Which is
That's
here
right.
now. With art by Phonebox, by the way.
Yeah, he did an outstanding job
Phonebox the Illustrious.
on both her current art and the skin that he also made and named. I really don't get the name the skin has, but hey, I'm not gonna question it. I didn't make it myself, so. Anyway, Bowsette, a character created by fans for fans, and yeah, it was also that way in SPNatI. I was really sad to see that she never got anywhere, and I realized, hey, she only needed a little push. And I ended up taking her from like 1,000 lines to what was it, like 800 more lines I wrote. Just a little push, you know. But yeah, I think it worked out pretty well. Most of her voice came naturally to me because it's Bowser. Everyone knows Bowser. I actually haven't played
With a vagina.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of
And titties.
gender fluid issues,
And not in the terrifying image that might summon in your mind. No, she just turns into Peach, basically.
yeah, she's like an edgier Peach that isn't really sure whether she is a she or a he or something in between and doesn't really care. She's here and she's gonna rock your world, basically.
Bowser's here. He's queer. Get used to it. He's
Exactly.
comfortable
Yeah.
with himself. He's the king. He can do whatever he wants.
I mean, a lot of the time she presents herself as the queen because he is the king, and he's used to that position. He's not coming here like a humble, like, "Hey, I'm a girl." I'm coming here. No, I'm King Bowser. I'm coming here, and I came here to rule this kingdom, rule this place, and get acquainted to it, so I can kidnap Peach. It's the whole Mario movie all over again, but without Peach. And I'm actually terrified by the possible future where Peach actually gets made, but hey, I'm not counting on it. I don't think it'll ever happen. So, yeah, Bowsette, she exists.
So what exactly did you have to work on the most to get her up to snuff?
Well, there were a lot of generic cases that weren't actually quite there.
Wasn't there, from the crowdsourced dialogue, wasn't there a massive discrepancy from like Game Start had like 50 lines and then
Yeah.
removing accessory had like 2 lines or some ridiculously low number because people just didn't know what to write.
Yeah, this was actually very enlightening as to check what kind of lines people were eager to write and came naturally to them, even if they weren't writers. Game Start is easy, but removing accessories aren't. And I realized, hey, I could write those. I'm good at writing generics, so I did that. And I had to write like 600 generics and 200 targets or something like that. Mostly targeting the princesses in the cast because it's Bowser. He's gonna have some interaction with the princesses. And I mostly focus on observational lines. Bowsette would comment on the princesses and not engage with them. She wouldn't engage with them because they were never going to answer. Most of them are abandoned characters that are not being worked on. I don't think they will be worked on, so they're not going to answer. But yeah, those are basically all the lines I had to write. Now they're being revised by someone who actually really loves the Mario franchise and is going to make sure the voice stays consistent. But as far as I know, I managed to do what I wanted to do. She's on main. I'm going to use her targeting to improve the other characters that are more obscure. I would target them so they would get recommended because she has a lot of star power. She's popular, and I want to use that star power to help other characters rise. That's pretty much my plan. Yeah.
She ranked pretty highly in the feedback. She ranked pretty highly in the resort poll, considering she was literally just days off of testing.
Yeah, and that's on star power alone. I doubt most people have actually played with this character. But hey, if the people know the character, they're gonna vote for them. That's how plebs do. That's what plebs do. 555
on poll A and 17 on the dev poll, so clearly people were listening to you when you said don't vote for my characters.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the conclusion we can reach is one that Bowsette would agree with, which is that democracy simply doesn't work.
Basically, yeah.
Not for
Democracy.
writing, not for judging quality.
I think you did pretty well, and from the Bowsette I can only vaguely remember, you've done a good job at making her consistent for herself. Which I think is the biggest issue she had was she didn't know who she was or what she wanted. You have figured out a system for that works, and you've retold her to work.
I mean, she still doesn't know. It's just now that she doesn't care. She's Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
He's Bowsette. That's it.
Well, that's the thing. She couldn't decide if she cared or not. And now she knows for sure she doesn't care.
Yeah. I don't think there's much to say about her. Most of the work was already done.
I have praises and I have critiques to give. In general, she was pretty funny to have. I used her Caliente reskin. Seemed pretty good all around. I assume the base costume is much the same as that. I feel like her emotions, like just pose-wise, jump between extremes. And I can't decide if that is, like, best or not. Like, maybe she could use some intermediary expressions where she's not going from, calm but smug smirk to literally breathing fire and about to kill someone when she gets a little annoyed.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, Spnanon?
I would describe Bowsette as much more coherent than when I first experienced her. I don't think this is the kind of experiment that could really work for almost any other character, but it works for Bowsette in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is just like a porn character. She doesn't really have any kind of identity. And even, in universe, she's kind of confused about her own identity and who she wants to be. She can consider herself male or female or whatever else. She's also a cartoon villain. So as far as like wild expressions or changes in mood, a mercurial, kind of spoiled, kind of angry and disgruntled cartoon villain king that breathes fire, like, yeah, I could see that happening. Especially when he himself is even confused about what he wants to be. So it kind of makes sense that the lines are a little all over the place and the poses and everything. I don't think you could do that with almost anything else, but it works for Bowsette. And you did a good job cleaning it up so it's just coherent enough to feel good and feel satisfying. She feels like a good average character. Her art isn't crazy or anything. I'm sure Phonebox could do a better job now, but she's got all the details she needs. You can tell it's her. She does have some detailing. And, some of the lines are a little goofy or contrived or feel canned. But, it's Bowser. That is kind of how he would talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very declarative. Very, or like the pesky plumbers. Builds brain. Son of a Koopa. Shit like that.
I had a lot of fun researching those. Yeah.
It works. It works for Bowser. So I think it's fine.
There are some lines I would consider cutting entirely. Mainly ones that are still like
too crass, maybe.
Not even too crass, but like thinking about Mario in strange ways, or things that reference Bowser Jr. or reference the mysterious unseen dealer.
It'd be kind of funny if she had like a picture of Mario and be like, "Oh, how I loathe you, how I love you, how I loathe you."
Yeah, there was a poll.
Sunflower petals.
I don't know if you guys remember, there was a poll that was made on the subreddit about which kind of personality would Bowsette have, and most people could not agree on whether she hated Mario, she wanted Mario, she was indifferent about Mario. it was a mixed bag, and really, I just kept all the lines. I tried to keep a consistent line of she being indifferent, mostly by toning down the weight lines, the weight of the lines where she references feeling attracted to Mario, but they still slip out every now and then because there were a lot of them.
I think it's fine for the most part. She was as Herbert Hoover would say, a noble experiment. She works well enough.
As for her expressions, I had really very few expressions to work with. Most of them were very extreme, as you said. I even had to try to make new ones by cutting her face and putting it on new bodies, and apparently Phonebox didn't like that, so he just remade those poses and only those poses. But yeah, he didn't add many new poses. I didn't ask for them either. I thought he was retired, honestly. Yeah, I would be open to have new poses with a more mellowed personality, but at the same time, it's Bowser. People would overlook it most of the time.
Quick things I want to add in terms of criticism that you can fix pretty quickly. She was repetitive on some cases. Bad hands, for example, all she ever did was like growl and breathe fire and smoke. She repeated some of her own must strip lines, which is something I think should never happen. Every one of those should be unique. Model wise, this isn't really something you can fix easily, but she does seem very top heavy. I know she has big boobs, but maybe they didn't need to be that big. Maybe make the hips bigger. I don't know. Last thing, maybe I'm crazy, but I think she's bone dry on the forfeit stages.
Need to zoom and enhance.
Possibly.
Yeah.
You are.
For shame. I mean, I know she's a lizard, but come on.
You are correct.
I know that the Koopa Kingdom is a desert wasteland volcano.
I might agree with you, but that's not my area of expertise. So, Phonebox, if you're hearing this, do whatever you want. Fix it or not.
Bowsette's good, though. Ready to move on to our final topic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what better to end on than yet another fucking Fire Emblem character?
Yeah! Fire Emblem! Woo!
Yay!
The only way to end any podcast. We should how many podcasts? What percentage of podcasts cover at least one Fire Emblem character?
Who was the most recent one before this? Mitama?
Yeah.
I don't know, but this one is Lysithea from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which isn't even the newest one anymore. We haven't gotten an engaged character yet. I don't think.
We haven't gotten any new characters from the mobile game Heroes.
We got Lavatine.
Well, since Levitine,
I mean, they're not that good, honestly. DOCs of Heroes are kind of bad.
Yeah.
All the characters we've been talking about these past two episodes, they've been inside baseball. It's been me, it's been Nord, it's been Karbol, it's been a little bit of Cool Cat, but even he has a lot of characters under his belt. This is a new effort by a new developer. Always happy to see new blood, and what a first effort it is. Lysithea, I would say, is excellent. Even this is like 2 times in a row that I've overcome my hatred of new Fire Emblem characters, because this one is actually good. So was Mitama, so Levitane and some others. Also Petra. You know what? All the Fire Emblem characters are pretty good, honestly. I don't know why I said that. It's all the older ones. Petra's good. Leonie's good. Lysithea's good. But I'll let Karbol speak first. This is by a dev called Grape Ghost, with some help from Horse Killer, who has retired. But Grape Ghost, I think, did the posing and also the writing. Take us away.
Lysithea, well, I have tried some Fire Emblem games since last year. I have not played Three Houses.
Is that how you say it? Lysithea?
I think. Nord? You played the game, is that how you say it?
Lysithea.
Lysithea, okay.
Lysithea.
Okay,
It's
give
in
me
her,
a second, I'm going to check my notes.
It's in her metadata in the pronunciation field.
Okay, so Lysithea then.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing it right? Lysithea.
Yes.
Okay, haven't played Three Houses. I don't think I will. So I don't know what her deal is. I don't know what her personality is. I think she's short. She's a mage. but she also can use swords, which is normal with Fire Emblems. She comes from a noble house, and I think that's kind of her personality. I played like 2 or 3 games with her already, and I haven't quite gotten what her deal is. So yeah, maybe that's a flaw. She does think a lot. She has a lot of lines where she's thinking, which I believe is having the worst of both worlds, because at the same time you're giving the player a lot to read, but there's nothing for the other characters to engage on. There's nothing they could use to to start a conversation with her. She's talking to herself and the player cannot engage with her, and there's a lot to read because her thoughts tend to be rambly. So yeah, I think it's the worst of both worlds, but for what it is, I think her dialogue is really good, her targets are good, and those thoughts are cute. I found them to be cute and endearing. And yeah, the model is also good. Come on, it's a horse killer model. But as for her writing, I think she's a pretty good character. Yeah, she doesn't have bad writing by any means. It's not a masterpiece like, I don't know, one would say Mei or Jura or Nami or Perona, but she's good. She's really good for a first attempt. She's actually above average. So yeah, I think those are my thoughts.
Stunning praise coming out on the podcast. Above average.
Hey, she is good.
Nord?
That was quite interesting for you having no experience with her source and me with experience from her source, like having recruited her and seen a lot of her supports. Like she felt really natural in this game to me. Like it's a good adaptation of her. This is a very good like first outing from Grape Ghost, working on her. I think Horse Killer just donated the model and Grape Ghost did all of the posing themselves, which is also impressive. Lysithea is one of the first student character from the game that doesn't actually have the student uniform as the default outfit, and I think everyone universally agrees that that was the right decision, because she looks too small, like too young in her uniform, even though she is like 18 in the middle of the time skip, which I think is the point in time that she's being written, is that like there's a time skip between Act 1 and Act 2, so they went with her war outfit as the default.
Can you give a brief summary of like what her deal is in the game?
Yeah, please.
Her deal is that she's one of those like nose to the book kind of characters for very specific reasons. Trying to think of how to best summarize this. Basically, their god, at one point in the distant past, their god gave all of the nobles crests, which are basically inheritable, like minor superpower boons. And as humanity tends to do, they realized, okay, these boons are genetic. That means we can theoretically transplant these magical divine blessings onto other people. And so Lysithea and Edelgard both have like crests of like 2 different noble houses infused into them. And that's why they both have white hair, and that's why they both have drastically shortened lifespans. And so for Lysithea in particular, she is very like weak and sickly, and is trying to make the best of her life, despite knowing she'll probably be dead in 10 years' time, being hopeful.
Mm.
And I feel like that comes across pretty well with her writing here.
Mm.
Like, well, not getting into the super like grim aspect of that whole, tragic backstory, but it does definitely, like, she does definitely have that sense of, okay, I'm here to try and loosen up and almost learn to have fun. And I think she's written pretty well. with your perspective, Carbol, I do now sort of think, yeah, there's areas to improve on with like getting herself like talking more about who she is, just assuming that no one else is there from her same game, as unlikely as that may seem, given how many Three Houses characters we have now. We have 4 golden deer, 2 black eagles, 1 soldier from the church, and 0 blue lions from like all the different houses. So she's in the same house as Leonie, Ignatz, and Hilda. I'm realizing that I'm just sort of talking in circles and rambling now, so if you have any more specific questions I can answer. Otherwise, I'll leave it. I'll let Spinanon talk.
Are the blue lions really that bad?
Who's your favorite Three Houses character? Oh, it was Petra, right?
What?
Your favorite was Petra, right?
Yeah. Petra's one of the Black Eagles, and she's the reason I joined, was to make her. Made Leonie first.
And you're still cleaning up the mess.
Oh, yes.
I feel you on that one.
Are the blue lions really that bad? No one wants to make a character from the blue lions.
It's hard to say, because I haven't finished the Blue Lions route, or even started it. But it feels like the characters from there are less, like, fun.
Fuckable.
SPNatI material.
It's not that it's not that they're not SPNatI material. It's just that the golden deer is like the most, best fitting, followed by a lot of the black eagles, and then followed by blue lions.
Okay.
What house would you be in?
Well, that entirely depends on what geographical location I was born into. Because it's not like Hogwarts where you get sorted
Not the
based
sorting
on
hat.
You don't get sorted based on arbitrary personality traits. Everyone's a war criminal here.
I'm a Ravenclaw.
Which one is the house that has the communists wanting to take down the system of dragons imposing their wills on people?
Black
Was that a thing?
Eagles? Kinda.
Okay, yeah, that's mine then.
All right, let's get back on track here. Lysithea is great. I hope I pronounced her name right, because she definitely deserves to be pronounced correctly. Love this bitch. She is stoic and quiet, but also knows how to assert herself. She's eloquent and has times of being assertive, but she can also be startled. She can crack, or she can get into it. That's my favorite kind of character. I think she has some real depth that she shows. Nord is blowing Karbol's mind that there's a 4th house in the game called Three Houses.
The Ashen Wolves.
3 houses and a basement? What?
3 houses and a basement.
It's not 3 houses anymore.
I forgot to mention the Ashen Wolves. Lysithea has two modes, doesn't she? I've only seen one of them where she's submissive.
It's like a brat and a sub or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I saw either of them. I think you might need to use player tags or something.
Probably.
I just went with the default. But I have seen some of those sexy flirting lines she has, and I think that very good like physical descriptions of like spank me and shit. Spank my pale bottom, a strike upon it. Shit like that.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
I saw some of
You
that.
do more of that.
And
And I think it should trigger more easily because I didn't really see much of it. But she has like nice poses, especially for a first timer. She expresses and emotes well. She's very cute and head pattable.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt, because she's kind of short and small and petite. She does a good job of being petite without feeling too young. She's still got the long legs and everything. And she's mostly very composed. Hex critiqued the custom breasts a little bit. I kind of agree. She has like weird unfitting cleavage. It doesn't quite fit with how small and flat she's supposed to be, but I think for the most part it works. She's got nice nipples and like nice custom nipples and things. We're really in the age where everybody's breasts looks unique. They look unique, even the men.
Yeah, people are diversifying, which is good. I think maybe if the inner like cleavage lines were like half as opaque as they currently are, it might look better. But overall,
What a time to be alive.
overall, her model's really good.
When are we going to level up the asses? I still see a lot of asses that I'm just
I'm
not a fan of.
trying.
I mean, if you want to see my platonic ideal, the spnanonic ideal of a good ass, I tried to implement it with Maya, and now I just keep iterating on that ass. Apparently, I need to focus on the neck more, according to last episode.
So yeah, Lysithea
Lysithea is really good.
is really good.
She could use. She even has like a nice hair flourish pose, which I can't find at the moment. But girl after Jura's own heart. She could use some better forfeit poses. She has good dialogue, but I feel like she was a little stiff. She didn't move around too much, or could move around a little bit more at least. I know that's hard to do with some characters. Maybe just like bring the knees a little further out. Some of them are fine. For the most part, yeah. Just I have very little to criticize. You did a great first job. I hope this is a first job. I hope if Grape Ghost is a Smurf, one, I hope Nord bans you, and second, eat my ass.
Yeah, I really hope they're not.
There's this growing worry that like any new developer who shows any amount of competency must be someone pulling a prank.
I'm still thinking, just kidding. Fence has to be.
It's not totally founded. I mean,
Smurf.
it's happened a few times, but you also got like Lockett, who like knocks it out of the park as well.
Hmm.
And Lockett even did all the model work too. We had some talented newcomers.
Before we end, I wanted to clarify something. I said Lysithea was above average. Most characters, when they are the first someone's character, they start out as average and then get good. Elphaba started average and then got really good. Leonie started average and then got really good. Lysithea was really good on release. But she could be improved. She can be better. So what I'm trying to say is she is good. I just want more of her. You know.
If you want to make me love your character, whoever they are, even if they're a Fire Emblem character, just target May and Jura and respond to them. And have lines that I like reading and are funny. I've been trying to do like now that I'm more confident with art and making new stuff, I've been trying to like just do more visual humor where they don't talk so much. Like Lysithea, she's like very studious and analytical, and she asks Revy like those clubs at your side, are they some kind of mechanism based slug thrower? And I had Revy's response to it be she literally just takes out a gun and fires it.
Jesus.
That's it. Doesn't say anything. I feel like that would be Revy's appropriate response.
I need to target that.
It's not like she knows or wants to explain what the fuck a gun is. Or like in an engineering sense. Anyway, yeah. It's really good.
Yep, really good.
Maybe I should play this game. Available now for Nintendo Switch. Seems to have a lot of good waifus.
Indeed.
Even the ones that are like little old ladies.
If you want to, you can romance the nurse who is just an absolute wreck of a woman.
Is that the one that Tebow likes that's always drinking?
Manuela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Options. That's the most important thing.
There's someone for everyone in Three Houses. Three Houses has like an advantage over like prior Fire Emblem games in that it has enough space and breathing room to develop all of these dozens of side characters, even just a little bit. Whereas in past games, it was literally just their support conversations, and they had no dialogue outside of that.
Mm-hmm. You just kind of got them to fight with.
Yeah, that's probably why Three Houses has had so many characters, is that you spend a lot of time speaking to these characters, and you read their 2 unique lines of dialogue per month. You hang out with them at events, and then you have all these dozens of support conversations, and they have unique comments on the story. That's why the game, why all the characters from this game keep just drip feeding in.
I mean, I like pretty much all of them, but it's funny how like Three Houses alone at this point, not even the rest of Fire Emblem, pretty much counts as its own franchise, and it's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there was a suggestion split the Fire Emblem what's it? the magnetization of the fuzzy sorting, where like characters from the same source will get grouped together. There was a suggestion to split Fire Emblem and Fire Emblem Three Houses into two separate groups.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
It makes too much sense.
It's not fair to put Petra next to Lynn. It's just not fair.
I don't think she ended up next to Lynn. Nobody voted for Lynn. I think Lynn is literally the only one that you get a big fat 0 on the dev vote.
Oof.
Even Videl got a vote. That was me, by the way. I voted for Videl. Nobody else. I even gave her new lines.
I didn't vote at all. I didn't have the time to.
Videl's good. That's my final message as we come up on an hour officially. Either of you have any final thoughts on Lysithea or any of the characters we've spoken about?
At the time of recording, I've started sending lines from Petra to Lysithea. I need to start updating Leonie again and, get the actual, same house interactions. I think Leonie needs a Fear the Deer pose, because Lysithea has one now. It's just something Hilda started. It's not even something from the game, I'm pretty sure. Lies and deceit.
It's a cute pose, though. I would love to see the golden deer doing it.
Yeah.
If you could get an epilogram, a collectible for it, that'd be nice too.
The Golden Girls.
And boy, but and men.
All right. Now that we fear the deer, I think it's time to end. Any final comments?
Yeah, expect targets to all of these in the next character that I'm gonna drop tonight.
Oh yeah, you tried to resubmit Solar Flare. Hasn't gone through yet.
Mm-hmm.
Nord?
In general, I think we should all be as supportive as possible to new talent. And hopefully we don't have to assume that any side of new talent is someone putting on a mask. Unless it is the masquerade that still hasn't been sorted out at the time of recording.
Okay.
Maybe after October.
Either way, remember to give feedback if you have just played with and enjoyed any character at all. Remember to support your fellow devs. And even if you're not a dev, we're still always hungry for feedback, so please give it. That's right. You listening right now.
This has been episode 79 of the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory Podcast. I have been your host, Spnanon, and that was my N-word, Nord, and our guest, Karbol.
Call back to... Oh, God.
Ready to get started?
Yep.
Wait,
well,
no,
hi, everybody. Okay.
Sorry.
Fucking ruined it.
I'm sorry.
Fucking ruined it.
You had a good energy going. I'm sorry. BRB.
Fucking ruined it, Nord.
Let's kill him. All right, so let's...
Well, hi, everybody. For fuck's sake, stop talking.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up.